I want to ask you two more questions. The first one is, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given, or the biggest lesson that you've learned as a artist, as a musician, from other musicians, from people who may have listened to you, or fans, or um, experiences that you've had that, or things that you've learned while you were doing your gigs, or, on this musical journey? Best advice or biggest lesson?
Yeah. Um, I think the biggest advice that every musician has given me whenever I ask them is to keep trying.
Okay.
Yeah, just to be persistent, keep writing songs, keep releasing songs, keep marketing it, um, and keep trying to build that audience. But a thing that I found was that you can't just do it. You have to understand why you're doing it. And so for me, I had to take that a step further and be like, okay, like I can make music, but does this need a bridge? Is this engaging enough for me to listen to if I were to listen to it on my own, excluding an audience? If I'm releasing it, what is the best way to reach my target audience? Um, how do I cater my videos to meet my demographic, whether it's age or nationality, um, or interest in maybe dating or some other hobby? Um, it's like, yeah, I think people try to simplify these pieces of advice just to get the point across, and I agree with that. I think it's just missing that the qualitative aspect of it. And like, how do I make sure that if I'm being persistent, that my actions have positive outcomes from it? How do I make sure that if I'm, you know, building my fan base, that it's the right audience that I'm obtaining and not just some random people on the internet that I don't know and that they're never going to see my music again. I want people that are that enjoy my music, that like old school and new school stuff combined together. And I want to make sure that I'm keeping them interested in my music by not only releasing more, but also releasing promotional content that keeps them interested. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, I I will always make music for myself. Like the songwriting will always be me. No one will ever. I mean, I'll get some advice here and there, but ultimately that is my own. But in terms of actually putting it out there for people, I do sell my soul a little bit with like TikTok or YouTube. Like I don't enjoy it as much as the songwriting. I do enjoy it, like when I make a funny video or something, but um, I do it so that people are able to uh, kind of understand it. I think a lot of these songs that I think a lot of songs that artists write are very personal to them. But the hard part is making the audience feel the same way, and not only just with the music. I feel like social media is really visual nowadays, and I am a visual person as well, but I'm not, or I shouldn't say I'm not. I'm an amateur videographer, video editor, and I could go professional if I want, but at the end of the day, my expertise is music, and so um, I'm just sticking with my advice or the advice I was given. Just keep going with it, see what works, see what doesn't work, and yeah, just go from there. Yeah.
Hey, that takes me into my last question. I think, first of all, I think that's great advice. Number one, with anything, even when you have a great show versus a not so great show, when you have a great relationship versus a not so great relationship, if you kind of like stop right there, you kind of stop the potential for your evolution, if you will. You know what I mean? And I think it's great advice. So, what about you? There will be people who see this video that are going to be older than us, younger than us, people who listen to your music that you will never know, that you will never get to meet in person. What advice would you give to them? maybe they're creatively pursuing their musical journeys or desires, or maybe they had a bad experience and don't really know which way to go or where to turn. What advice would you want to give to them or share to them if you could only tell them one thing about life or this journey as a creative being?
Um, I would say it's okay to be yourself, um, in whatever way it is. Obviously, there's limits to that. If your personality traits involve breaking the law, then I think you should stop there. But I think because for me personally, I'm a very weird person. Like I have all these very specific interests, especially especially in music. Like my music taste goes everywhere, like from like the old stuff like Frank Sinatra, Marvin Gaye to the new age stuff. Like I'll listen to obscure indie rock bands like Always or Tops or Remy Wolf. Um, and they all give me inspiration for what I want to do or what how I want to feel in
Right.
terms of a mood. Yeah, yeah.
Can I,
Uh,
I just have to say this. So remember what you're saying. Okay.
yeah.
This is what I was saying when I said it's ethereal. It doesn't make any sense. There's no, this is the one way. Like if you like how you map out the city and you know that this is the bridge to take that goes to the airport, music is not like that, right? I could love Olivia Newton fucking John and then also be cranking some Cardi B, at the same time or back to back or have a playlist where it's just like, I mean, crazy, crazy variety, a crazy different style, crazy tempo. And you could like this song for this reason and this one for this reason. And these artists could be completely, like, I mean, couldn't be more different than black and white, and I feel like that's the beauty about music because there's no rules to this shit. You know what I mean? So I think that's a great thing to say because you want people to love your stuff. You want people to say, yeah, but sometimes that's why some artists get a lot of slack, not slack. Some artists get a lot of flack because one album is completely different from the last one. Like Doja Cat. It's like, well, why did she cut her hair off? Or why did she do this? Is she going crazy? No, life makes you like, you're not the same person you were yesterday, period. Just because you like dumplings yesterday, don't mean you're going to like them today. And it's like, give me that freedom to be, and music gives us that space and freedom. I used to fall asleep crying to Coldplay. um I used to rule the world. Don't ask me why. I don't even know what the hell that song was about to this day. But I played it over a million times while I was on a gig in Singapore. And it literally made me, and Kanye West's seems like da 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 da. I pay my share, it's my focus. Now, if I say that when I say Kanye West, you would say, what? He was singing? Completely different from what the media says about him and him being. But that was the one song of Kanye West's that I played like, I mean, on nonstop. Completely different from majority of the music that has made him a billionaire to this day. And I think that's the beauty. And as long as you remain true to yourself and perform and play and just get out whatever it is, I I'm sorry to interject on your advice to artists, but I had to say that because you touched that thing in me that said, yes, that's what I was trying to say when I said music is intangible. There's no reason, there's no rhyme or reason. It just is what it is. And this one moves me, this one may not at all. Gives me nothing, no feeling. And that's okay. It could be the same damn artist where one song is just like giving me wings and the other one gives me absolutely no libido. Right? Okay. All right. Go back to what you were saying about advice to artists.
Oh no, you're good. And actually, Viva La Vida is one of my all-time favorite songs too.
Oh,
I
wow.
love it. Yeah, yeah.
What was it about?
It's about a king that used to rule a nation and then he got kicked out for whatever reason.
So it was like
Um,
it wasn't like an analogy. Like was it like an analogy for like a certain?
I think it was, yeah, yeah. I think that the literal meaning is the king or whatever, but I kind of like I was going through a rough time as well when I was listening to it. I think it had just released when I first listened to it. I was in middle school, 2012 or so, no, 2009. But like,
Yeah, I was 24 years old.
I feel old now, but you're still 24.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah, that was a very hard time for me because like I was really weird at that time as well. And God forbid you're unique in middle school, especially if you stand out physically, because I was one of the only Asian Americans in my middle school. There were maybe three or four there. Florida has like Florida only has Asian Americans as 3% of its population. And so just to like put that in perspective, three out of every 100 people is Asian. So I didn't really have a community here, um, but yeah, I would get people would just make fun of me for no reason. Like I would be like weird and they'd bully me, but then I would listen to like Viva La Vida and be like, wow, this like it would make me feel better. I didn't really understand the words at first. I listened for the music. The music was very emotional, and
Me
that's
too.
what drew me.
I think that's what
Yeah.
drew me too, because like I said, I had no relationship with the actual words he chose. Then I'm like, okay, I don't know if he's talking about a movie or I don't know if he's talking about like, a dream, but everything about it, even the all of it. And I'm not a huge Coldplay fan, myself, but there was something about the music and the strings. Bum, 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 bum. Oh my God. Even now, music is timeless, first of all, because even now I'm going back to those moments of how the song made me feel. And it made me feel like I was emotionally purging. And it made me feel like it was okay to be vulnerable and okay to kind of just like be lost in my feelings. And his voice, whatever, the combination of everything took me to another place. And this is again piggybacking off of something I said earlier, why you have to, and piggybacking off of your advice to people who are watching this, why it's okay to be yourself. I probably never meet Coldplay, probably never meet these artists who inspire something within me, whose music I listen to ad infinitum and just kind of like take while I'm going through something in my life, why I choose to listen to this artist. I have no idea, but if they didn't follow the call of their inspiration to create it, if something didn't inspire them to create it, if all of these things didn't take place, then this would not be something that I was able to get a hold of. And music, it can go places that I will never be able to go. It can live longer than I'll be able to live. All of the reasons why, all of the reasons why you have to, in your weirdness and you feeling the way you felt made you listen to what you listened to, which maybe compelled you to become who you are today. All of these things that could have possibly been the reason that the domino hit the way it did and you became who you are. If we even try to go down that rabbit hole, we would never have the answers to why. And so I say answer the call. Be like piggybacking off of you, understand that, live on purpose with an exclamation point, not a question mark, and say, this is me. Whether it rings weird to you, whether whether you've never seen people that look like me before, whether you don't understand me. And especially in this day and age we are now with this whole pronouns kind of thing, no, he, him, she, her, they, them. Listen, it's completely different than when we were growing up, especially me, because I know I'm older than you. There was none of that. They were the weird ones, if you will, where they were shamed or be quiet, don't talk about this. You're not normal. There was a lot more of that going on. And I'm very happy for where we are today. It's just that I sometimes fear that we're going in a direction in which now everybody's just afraid to even say anything, where it's just so much red tape where I can't even move and I offend you because I said this. It's so much so that it may just kind of like ricochet back in the opposite direction. That's what I'm afraid of, because it's okay for you to want to be who you are, but don't bash me for my thoughts of that. You know what I'm saying? If I keep it to myself. So that's all I'm saying. But yes, I completely agree with you. And also, like I said, I feel like we're in a day and age now where being yourself is a lot easier. Being loudly being yourself is a lot easier than before. Before it was a matter of life and death at some, and somewhere in history. Just being the color that you are, that you couldn't hide, was a matter of life and death. So where we are today, oh my gosh, you would you would say to everybody, shout loud and proud who you are, what you are. And today we're also kind of praised for being different. So again, it has a lot to do with society's tolerance, and I love that about where we are compared to where we used to be, and that we were born in the time where artists could be free to be themselves. They could be different. They could wear their hair a certain way and sing about certain things and not be castigated or muted to do that. So yeah, I am in complete agreement with being yourself, with continuously growing and going and not allowing anything to silence you, as long as you have the call within your heart that's compelling you to create something. Way. Is there anything else you want to say to my audience or to your audience?
I think you said it well, perfectly. Like you couldn't have said it any better. Yeah, just persist on being yourself. Experiment, try new things. Don't be afraid of rejection, whether it's, in how you put out your music, or whether or not you apply for that one job or ask that one girl out.
Mhm.
You got to keep trying to figure yourself out. So yeah, but
That's that's
yeah.
that's well said. I was thinking, just to kind of end with this in summation. I I was when I was at my like right out of high school, I was writing a lot and I was connecting with a lot of producers, and I was trying to do the whole record label thing, record deal thing. And unfortunately, the team I was connected with, they it wasn't a good team. So when we finally got the attention of somebody at Sony Records, everything fell apart because nobody trusted anybody within my team. And so that kind of would have put a bad taste in my mouth with having a team and relying on people to kind of like be in charge of your career, if you will. So it kind of sent me into that direction of going overseas and doing the cover band thing, because I just felt like it was so messy to do that whole artist thing and be signed to a major level. And you hear all the stories about people who were stuck to a record label, and they were, they couldn't get out of their deal, or they couldn't release any music. I'm a Sagittarius. The whole idea of being stuck anywhere, I wanted to shoot myself. I got just no point in living. Like, that's my idea of how important freedom is to me. And sometimes, listen, you will have people, if they're in charge of you or if they're paying you, they're going to tell you how to play. They're going to tell you how to move, tell you how to write. Don't release this song now. That goes against the brand. All these rules and regulations, when they don't even damn know themselves how something's going to turn out. They're just basing it on what happened to somebody else. There's no rules to this shit. So I'm saying this to say, I recently started to go through the process of learning how to get my music, my original music, on, platforms like iTunes, Spotify, da, da, da. And so I go through TuneCore, right? You pay like $9.99, I think, a year to have your music on all streaming platforms. You basically had that ability now as the artist to do that. And there was something that was recently added to TuneCore, like, okay, for this additional fee, you can have your music on all the platforms out there, including ones that are not created yet, but will come in the future, right? Because all these platforms are popping up. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. So I did it, right? And I use all my original music for my, for my artist interviews, or for my other series that I have, or my music videos. I use all my original music for the backgrounds and all that kind of stuff. And so I recently started getting notifications that I was using copyrighted material. And I'm like, that's odd because I am the artist. And so, they say, hey, if you want to dispute this, click here. And I would dispute it. And I would say, hey, I'm Doris Evelyn Ramley. That's my legal name. I'm da. And I get a notification back that my dispute was rejected. And they're basically saying to me, well, nothing's going to happen until you start trying to monetize, your channel, because then you have to pay the artist. And I say this to say, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with people trying to make money off of artists. I'm done with, non-artists trying to use me to make money off of me, because you're basically saying, to give you this exposure, I'm going to charge you, when I had nothing to do with the creative process. So I'm now looking into making my own app or something where you have to buy my app or pay $1.99 to have access to all my content. I don't even think I want to have my music on any of these platforms anymore, because I feel like it's so impersonal. I feel like you're amongst billions, who are all trying to get their music out there. And then on top of that, I'm paying for this privilege to get my music to you, when in fact, I want artists to find me, to like me, to know about me, and to just be completely saturated in my world. Because I don't only do music. I also have I have all these ideas for TV shows and all these ideas for artist interviews and all kinds of stuff I want to do. And it's like, I don't want to try to convince people who are non-creative that I am somebody who should be seen. And then you tell me that these are the requirements in order for me to pay you anyway to publish me. It makes as I'm getting older and thinking more like a businesswoman, I'm realizing how we've been getting fucked for a long time. And just the other day, I was watching an artist interview of an actress, actually, who was talking about how much money actors who are in these big box office movies, right? They are the leading roles in these big box office movies, and they have to pay all this money in taxes. They have to pay all these people before they actually get a chance to take home their bread from all the hard work they put into this project. I'm done. We already have to pay taxes already, but I'm not going to let you, I'm not getting it. You should be honored for me to be on your platform. And then you can maybe just put like YouTube, then you could put ads within here. But the fact that you're charging me to be on your platform, that doesn't make any sense. Or you're taking some of this money, so that's my little spiel in talking about where I think we should go next. Indie radio for artists that are unsigned and kind of like doing this thing on their own, because I feel like we're competing against this machine, like how the mom and pop stores were trying to compete with Walmart's. There was a beauty to mom and pop stores because they had to be personal with their customers. That's how I want to be with the people who find me, who like my music, who want to be a Phoenix fan. I don't want you to have to sift through, and I'm competing with people who have these big kind of like monoliths behind them, and they're kind of promoting them like a product versus an actual interactive experience of humanity. Okay, I'm done. I want to say, WEI, thank you. It was such a privilege to meet you and to listen to your music, to kind of like connect to somebody who's on the same journey as me as a musician. As I was saying before, I know that you're in school. I know that you are pursuing a lot of things and you got a lot of stuff going on. But on this journey of music, I'd love to collaborate with you. I'd love to have a WEI in Phoenix song. You know what I mean? I'd love for you to play bass and sing and write. I am so pro artists collaborations and connecting one-on-one versus, okay, talk to my manager, or I don't think this will go with my brand. You know what I mean? Like sometimes there's just the connection of organic meeting where it's like, hey, I do this too. Why not? And if you're eager, like you actually followed up. I gave you my card. I give tons of artists my cards. I see tons of artists, busking on the streets of LA, and I'm dropping money in their bins and dropping my card in their bins. And literally probably one of 50 have actually followed up and say, hey, I'd love to do an artist interview with you. I'd love to collaborate. I'd love to come in so that you can hear me and my original stuff. And there's a reason for that. Fate, I guess, everything happens for a reason. But thank you for following up. Thank you for saying, taking time out of your schedule. I know how busy you are. I know how much you got going on, to make some time to share your story, share your music with my fan base and yours. And I look forward to your future projects. I look forward to our continued, journey. And I look forward to working with you on something. So yeah, Wei, to my audience, I have, as you can see, included all of Wei's social media. I put some links below, so please check him out, follow his journey, subscribe, like, and comment, and get to know him. Yeah, like I hope you learned something new about him, and I hope you follow him as he is growing and becoming the artist that he sees in his mind in reality. Until next time, you have been linked in and locked into Musicians on Gigs Artist Interview with Wei. Peace out, guys.
Is your time and place ends with its guide, alright to split ways? Where our lives ever slipping out of mind, gone from your Saturday?